IPOB. No more IPOB. What we have now is United States of Biafra, is what we have. We are telling you now that we are a country. What will trigger the international community to come? That is why I told you, it's no longer a time that way we are thinking. It's no longer that way. We are our thinking must change to suit on what is on the ground and what international law sees as the importance that we have to do. Under this international law, there is do's and don'ts. It's no longer thinking that way. It's no longer seeing that way. We must see it everywhere around. Look at what he has said. Status quo change. How the document drives it from a criminal rebel to the elected leader of a nation. The 10 states charge the leader with treason, insurgency, sedition, and etc. That is what they are charging Mazen Nagma Simon Eba, inciting violence. The self-referendum document proved the leader as a popular human being, as a popular democratic mandate endorsed by the majority of the population. Population of over 50 million votes used to endorse him. We also are attached to Mazen Nandekano also, over 50 million. How many countries in the world have get their recognition with or declare their independence, their declaration with over 50 million? None of them, but we have met those criteria. That is why I told you with under international law, we have overmet those criteria. This will force the 10 states to persecute the will of the people, not just an individual. Do you see it? The document of self-referendum. That government will make it outly. Write it on every S handle that the people you are holding, that the mandate of over 50 million self-referendum of those who won Biafra was be given to them. That was what was be given to them. That on this mandate is what they use to fight for their people. And now that the court has been declared, this population are demanding for their immediate release. None of the old freedom fighters released by the court or by the legal process. Just go and verify. Go and search, go and verify. They all released because of how the government, you and I who are outside, what we did. The process of going to protest. If you have it today, I will call for it in this country where I am. It's not a taboo because I can see them doing protest. This area that we need, there is what is called ISO. Ndiba is no people. Nanken no nante base, mananken funanya bezioku. On ka funanya buka na ekwezioku. Everybody will go na go for nye frubeke, mana agwa anya na no fro. Eke anya ndiba dị egbu eke. Awoge na eke ahụ data agwa ha dị egbu nke ahụ anya mmadụ na abụbụ da fọdụ anya na anọ wee fia. Na nke ahụ bụzi agwọ na egbu ya na ọ ihe ga-eme. They are arrested and the internal security. Listen.
The leader is a domestic prisoner. The COS and the new provisional government demand the leader's release as a political prisoner via international negotiation, using the documents as proof of political status, often leading to a prisoner exchange or diplomatic solution. 2. Diplomatic and economic blackmail, leverage for the COS. The COS, acting as second in command, uses the documents to threaten international consequences. The imminent declaration threat, the COS can announce that the formal declaration of independence is set to be released immediately unless the leader is released. This puts the detaining power under immense time pressure. They are forced to choose between keeping one prisoner and risking the immediate creation of a new state they would then have to confront militarily.
Do you hear it? When you come to program, you pay attention, you listen why that person sounded the way he's sounding. I wanted this way to encourage our government to do more. They are the best, but they need to add more on what they are doing. We are still number one. The arrest in an internal security matter. The declaration document, even if not yet official, the declaration document, even if not yet official, presented to international bodies that our government must raise it, presented this to UN, to EU, and all of them in what we are passing through. That they have to present it, even though self now the document now our country, officially, but have to present a little part of it to prove to the world. Look at what is going on. We are now a new country. Our president, our prime minister, they are all arrested. They are all in detention. They are all incarceration. We want them to free because they are no longer rebel. They are a leader, a president of a country. This is what it is. It is what it is. You can't change this fact. This is the area that we have to start going to now. This is the protest. This is the areas that we have to go. The leader is a domestic prisoner. Is what our COS and the government of Biafra are going to be presented to the world. The COS, as the new provisional government, demand the leader release as a political prisoner via international negotiation, using the document as a proof of a political status of leading to a prisoner exchange or diplomatic solution. You see what the document we have in our hand can do for us. The document can do a lot. The document can help us more by the way our government are going to be presenting all these documents to every part of the government structure of international global community or on the community global stage. These are the things that we have to look at it and face it squarely. Siki Obato told that he used a multiple dimension. Obato, they call for sit at home. It's a protest. They call it international law. Peaceful disobedience. It must continue. No stopping. And I am very happy that our government did not stop it. They allow money at home to continue. But they must emphasize more because many people, the sit at home is coming down every day. It's no longer like the way it is before. Go and verify. This is a truth we must understand. This is the truth that we have to tell ourselves, so we can strengthen ourselves more and move more forward. These part of the things that we have to know. Number 2, diplomatic and economy blackmail leverage for the COS. The COS acting as second in command use the document to threat international consequences. Do you hear it? What is this international consequences I'm talking about? Listen, the immediate declaration threats the COS as can announce the formal declaration of independence is said to be released immediately unless the leader is released. Nigeria as a government does not have this paper. We can also write on our own to the international body that Nigeria, who is sending our leader Mazakan for over 5 years, that they do not have official declaration that we are better than them. Then why are they keeping a leader of a country? And you are the one who put all this law for us, how we can follow it up. The demand for immediate release of Mazen Nandekano, Mas Simon Ekpa, depending on our actions, that will trigger all these things. We must continue. Our COS have to come. The sit at home must continue. That is the only method we can use in Nigeria, because it's no longer where we do open protests in Nigeria. Then in abroad, it must continue also, because this is where open protest is allowed. All the embassy of Finland must be besieged with Biafran people. It's also going to draw the attention of the world. Why do they gather here? They see on the placards, hashtag Finland government, hashtag Nigeria government, free our prime minister, Mas Simon Ekpa, free our president, Mazen Nandekano, because now that we are a nation, we are no longer a group of people. So we can give that name fully to make it on the political stage, becomes a big name under that a president was arrested, was kidnapped. Somebody must look at this and say, wow. Because nobody knows how it will happen. If you know, tell me. That is why all the multiple dimension is involved. This puts the detained power under immense time pressure. Remember, when Obato Obia is here, his action always puts Nigeria government in pressure. Only him alone. When we are not a country, talkless of now that we are a country, that we have all the documents to present to the world, how we become a country through our self-referendum. Then if the world said that they are not going to accept our self-referendum, they have to come and conduct it and be a mediator, a third party will now come. These are the reasons why what the document we have in our hand will trigger to the world. If you follow the rules very well. They are forced to choose between keeping one person and risking the immediate creation of a new state. They would then have to confront military. So you can see everything is happening between. What are those things that is going to trigger? Listen, for the release of all these men, listen to this.
The mandate to negotiate. The referendum results give the COS the authority to negotiate with foreign powers. They can offer a delay on the independence declaration, or promise stability/cooperation for energy resources, etc., in exchange for the leader's freedom. The detaining state now has an incentive to deal with the COSAS, as he has a verifiable popular mandate, the referendum result, to enforce any deal.
Do you hear that? The mandate to negotiate is in our hands of our government. To negotiate with who? Foreign bodies, foreign authorities, even Nigeria also. Referendum results give the COS the authority to negotiate with the foreign powers. They can offer a delay on the independence declaration or promise stability, corruption for emergency restructure, ECC. Our government can, or the way that we are making Biafra land, this way it is now, with us at home, what Nigerian government is getting is not what they are getting. It's part of it. It is part of it. Why are they doing this? They are doing it to see some things. That's why I told you, by now, if not that Jean to Butos and all these people decided to go the other way around, by now in Biafra land, they're supposed to be arresting some top officers of arresting Nigeria DPO, commanders, this and that, not to buy them, to keep them in exchange, because when they hold their own, we hold their own. Now that we are country, they are going to listen in exchange. This is the part of the exchange that we're talking about here. The 10 states now has the intensive to deal with the COS as his variable popular mandate, the referendum result to enforce any deal. The self-referendum result, we can use to force a deal with any other country. They said foreign authorities, foreign powers. You know who they are. You know who they are. Juma Kenyatta of Kenya was released because of pressure being mounted by second in command of him. Britain released him. They pushed forward. They push, and get another recognition. They hosted protests in abroad, not in the homeland. Because in Nigeria, you cannot protest. We all have passed through that way. And in Mpo, I escaped. A lot of things that happened. In Oba, I was escaped also. Junior has gone by, and Martin Kari is languishing in DSS dungeon. Nigeria even deny him medical care. Remember when Martin was here, when he comes out and speak, they will automatically give him a medical care immediately. But these days they don't care. That's why I told you everything that we are doing is not going to be only on paper, on document. No, there is things that we will add to it. That is the thing that we have to add into what we are doing this time around.
International recognition push. The COS can leverage the signed declaration document to secure pre-recognition pledges from sympathetic foreign nations. These nations can then issue joint statements demanding the leader's release based on the democratic will proven by the referendum.
Do you hear it? There is no, we can't live in denial anymore. We cannot hide the truth. And the world, if they hide it, we are going to be digging down to get it where they hide it. International law, international recognition push. The COS can leverage the signed declaration document to secure pre-recognition pledged by sympathetic foreign nations. That is why that our document of declaration of self-referendum must go to every country, because you don't know who will organize you. When it's come to this, our particular movement right now, no country is our enemy except Nigeria. Except Nigeria. No country is our enemy. Every country is our friend, because you don't know who may have decided willing to give the recognition to also, once they give you, they will put their voice to ask for our president, our prime minister release. This is what it is. This nation can then issue joint statements demanding the leader release based on the documents we prove by the self-referendum. It seems to Obatobie know that he will be arrested, and he put everything in place for also to secure his release, for also to use all these documents to argue and secure their release one after the other. Bangladesh that was released when Bangladesh people stand on the mandate, protect their declaration and protect their country, and otherwise they will not. But because they did that, they did not fall back. They move ahead, they get their country, and their leader was also what was released to them. Number 3, let us go.
3. Galvanizing popular support, internal mobilization. The documents provide the rallying cry necessary to mobilize the population and make the detaining state's position untenable.
Yes. For this, we cannot do in Nigeria. We cannot mobilize for protests, because if you try, they'll wipe us away the way they are wiping us already. That's why we can only mobilize ourselves in abroad where we are and do protests in Finland embassy. Even if it lasts for 2 days alone, even if it's 1 day alone, we have to do that to prove the world that those that are holding are political prisoners. Do you understand? The documents provide a real cry necessary to mobilize the population and make the detention state position ungovernable. That is what it is. You see why that everything is in between. That is all our what is called multiple dimension. Must continue.
Symbolic power. The documents are printed and circulated widely. The declaration provides the ideological justification for the movement. We are not rebels, but a nation, while the referendum results provide the evidence of democratic backing.
Do you hear this? Symbolic power. The documents are presented as very widely document of Minister of Biafra. Document of what? Declaration. The document of declaration. It's very, very important that we listen to this. The document of what? Declaration. The declaration provides the justification for the movement that we are no longer rebel. We are no longer insurgency. We are no longer terrorists. This is what the documents of our official declaration brings out. That is why the government can use to seek financial recognition. Because after our declaration, we have become a sovereign entity, even though that we have never fully taken control of our borders because of Nigerian government. Henry Gregg, I am from United States of Biafra, that was officially declared on November 29, 2024. We are a new country seeking for international recognition. We have our document of declaration. We have our self-referendum. Over 15 million people voted that they don't want Nigeria, that we want to be a new nation, like every other country who has their Independence Day. Because any of the Independence Day mark the day the country become a new country. So today, that is what we are looking for. We have made our declaration officially in Helsinki, Finland. That is where over 1,000 delegates of the Biafra people gathered and make a declaration of United States of Biafra to become a country. And we have our document in our hand. We are only seeking for recognition. And also, we have our grievances documents. Our two leaders, our president, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, right now is in DSS dungeon for over 5 years. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, our prime minister, was arrested in Finland for over 1 month, over 1 year, and right now, going to 1 year, yes. November will make it to 1 year that they have taken him away. Despite that, the Biafran people summoned the courage to went to Finland and make our declaration. So today, we are seeking for official international recognition. That's what we are looking for from every country in the world to give recognition. Welcome us. We are disciplined people. We are people who respected human rights laws so much. That is who we are. So we must continue. Why the referendum results provide the evidence of democratic backup? That our self-referendum vote, you see, those the homeland was voting, is a very big document. Those videos of them standing on the line, those pictures of them standing on the line, that is the evidence of the document that Biafran people peacefully conducted self-referendum vote. If anybody says no, you will come, anyone who says no, we're going to use it. That person will come to become a mediator between us and Nigeria for us to do another voting again. This is what it is. I hope you are listening. And I hope you are following gradually as we are moving.
Civil disobedience. The cause orders massive
disobedience. Massive disobedience.
Disobedience, general strikes, non-payment of taxes, etc., in the name of the referendum mandate. This popular action raises the internal cost of occupation/control to a level that forces the detaining state to release the leader for the sake of restoring order and preventing total collapse of its authority.
Do you hear it? Massive disobedience. The COS order massive disobedient. General strike, like taking some days, no movement in Biafra land. Non-payment of tax and etc. Giving the order to companies that are in Nigeria to stop that in Biafra land. Sorry, the countries that are the companies that are in Biafra land, give them a massive order to stop. Why? Because in the name of the self-referendum mandate, this popular action raised the internal cost of cooperation, control, to level that forced the detained state to release the leader for the sake of restoring order and the preventing total collapse of the authority. Ekwe, good morning. I see you. Wanfo, good morning. I see Miss American. Good morning. You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. Please, as you come, may you like and share the program. May you like and share the program. So you may understand it. The thing that we have to do, massive disobedience, massive civil disobedience, no gun, no bullet, just to give order. Sit at home, you sit. Those in abroad, come outside and protest, you come, you protest. This is what the government with the document of election has to do. Now I am going to play it without saying a word, so you may understand very well and join us. You join.
The declaration document and the self-referendum results are the most powerful non-violent tools a freedom movement has to force the release of its arrested leader, even before a formal declaration of independence. These documents are leveraged not as legal papers, but as political weapons to alter the cost-benefit analysis of the detaining power. Here is how the documents held by the Chief of Staff (COS) can be used to secure the leader's release. 1. Changing the leader's status from criminal to head of state. The documents allow the movement to change the international perception of the arrested leader. Status change, how the documents drive it, from criminal/rebel to the elected leader of a nation. The detaining state charges the leader with treason, sedition, etc. The self-referendum document proves the leader has a popular democratic mandate endorsed by the majority of the population. This forces the detaining state to prosecute the will of the people, not just an individual. The arrest is an internal security matter. The declaration document, even if not yet officially released, is presented to international bodies, framing the arrest as a violation of the principle of self-determination and a hostile act against a nascent sovereign entity. The leader is a domestic prisoner. The COS and the new provisional government demand the leader's release as a political prisoner via international negotiation, using the documents as proof of political status, often leading to a prisoner exchange or diplomatic solution. 2. Diplomatic and economic blackmail, leverage for the cause. The COS, acting as second in command, uses the documents to threaten international consequences. The imminent declaration threat, the COS can announce that the formal declaration of independence is set to be released immediately unless the leader is released. This puts the detaining power under immense time pressure. They are forced to choose between keeping one prisoner and risking the immediate creation of a new state they would then have to confront militarily. The mandate to negotiate, the referendum results give the COS the authority to negotiate with foreign powers. They can offer a delay on the independence declaration or promise stability/cooperation for energy resources, etc., in exchange for the leader's freedom. The detaining state now has an incentive to deal with the COSAS, as he has a verifiable popular mandate, the referendum result, to enforce any deal. International recognition push. The COS can leverage the signed declaration document to secure pre-recognition pledges from sympathetic foreign nations. These nations can then issue joint statements, demanding the leader's release based on the democratic will proven by the referendum. 3. Galvanizing popular support, internal mobilization. The documents provide the rallying cry necessary to mobilize the population and make the detaining state's position untenable. Symbolic power. The documents are printed and circulated widely. The Declaration provides the ideological justification for the movement. We are not rebels, but a nation, while the referendum results provide the evidence of democratic backing. Mass civil disobedience. The cause orders mass civil disobedience, general strikes, non-payment of taxes, etc., in the name of the referendum mandate. This popular action raises the internal cost of occupation/control to a level that forces the detaining state to release the leader for the sake of restoring order and preventing total collapse of its authority.
I hope you followed. I wonder why I allow you to play because of all those doubting Thomas, so they may see and understand it. It's no longer that way. It's this way we have to go. Everything will work in between, because that is how the way we are right now. We are no longer in the era to go to Nigeria and shooting woto. No. We are no longer in the woto. We are only in the era of doing things that are not going to trigger our people's life in danger. That is why when you come to sit at home, let them sit at home. Let the civil disobedience continue. Because they said it's what will trigger the international recognition. It's part of it. So nobody will come to deceive us anymore. Nobody. It's better that we all understand the importance of what we are doing and why we are doing that. Because if we don't do it, nobody will come to do it for us. If we, the people, did not do it, nobody will do it. And if you don't make a report, nobody is able to report for you. You must report your case by yourself. It's your case. Nobody will do it for you. Nobody will ask you unless you bring yourself out. So, my people, look at everything that is happening. Look at the life of Mazen Nandekan. Are you happy? Look at the life of Mazen Nandekan. Simon. Are you happy over that? Look at the caricature Nigeria is making with them. It's our declaration document can stop all this. It's very important that we do so, because everything that we are doing here is all about what will help us to get our freedom. And you know that freedom is sacrosanct. That's why to be used every multiple dimension to fight for it. There's not enemies taking him away. And they thought that if they take him away, that we are not going to continue. Today, the Biafran people has continued doing what we are doing because it is our right to do it. It is our right to make that everything is in order. In between, despite what we are passing through, despite the hell that the world put us into, he really know that everything that we are doing right now, we must do it for us to meet all these criteria that are very important for us to live with. So please, my people, let us help the government. Let us help the government and do the one we can do. When you come across some platforms, put a voice. Do not just only be listening. When they put a phone call for you to call, put a call through. Your voice is important. No voice is waste into what we are doing right now. There is no voice that is a wasted one. Every other voice is important. Every voice that you're hearing today is what we need to make sure that what we are doing yield a very good result. What is the result? This is most important one. Declaration is all we needed. One country to give us, two to give us, then over to be nobody will query them. Nobody will take them to court anymore. Like the way other countries, like someone like Martin Luther King did, someone like Magandhi of India, someone like Kenyatta of Kenya, someone like Nelson Mandela, someone like the president of Bangladesh. A lot of them, a lot. We are passing the same process that other people has passed in their movement. So our own are not going to be exempted. We must pass through that way. And that is the way we are passing right now. That is the way the Biafran people are passing right now. That's why I always use my word. Don't panic. Everything is right. I want you to know what the full meaning of international, full meaning of this of self-referendum on international law. What does it mean? Why is it important? And what is to be try and get it done before he called in. Listen to this.
The term self-referendum is not a formally defined legal term in international law, but it is commonly used to describe a unilateral popular vote on independence or secession held by a sub-state entity, a region, province, or people, without the consent or authorization of the central government of the existing state. To understand its meaning in the context of international law, you must look at the principle it invokes, the right to self-determination.
Now we are going deep there. To understand its meaning in this context of international law, you must look at the principle invoking the right to what? Self-defense. All the very important. It is very important that we understand the things that we need to know, the things that call for our time, the things that need our attention, the things that we have to do on our own to help ourselves. The heaven only help those who help themselves. That is what Batu be for us to be on the safer side. He conducted a self-referendum over 50 million votes to prove that it's a democratic movement, not autocracy, like the Nigerian government. Not where people say you are weird, I don't want to do this thing, they'll boof you. No, it's about choose what you will do and do it in the best way. Nobody talk to you, nobody disturb you, do it and go your way. Here are breakdown of the meaning of legal status. Listen.
Here is a breakdown of the meaning and legal status. 1. The principle invoked, self-determination. A self-referendum is an attempt by a people to exercise their right to self-determination, which is a fundamental principle of international law enshrined in the UN Charter and major human rights covenants. Internal self-determination.
A self-referendum is an attempt by people to exercise their right to self-determination, which is a fundamental principle of international law. Which is a fundamental principle of international law in the UN Charter and the major human rights that we need to see. I hope you see why we follow a man who knows the road. The man we follow, the man Mazen cannot give us, knows the road to the freedom. That is why we are here where we are today. That is why our declaration has happened. So now we have how this document is a high time to we need to be forcing everywhere. Good morning from here. You're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry. Look at what we are passing through, and look at what we have in our hand. Remember the first session, what it taught us how to do, and what the things that government need to apply more. Let them apply it more. Anytime this message come to their hand, because we really need it. The principle invokes self-determination. Listen.
The default. This is the right of a people to pursue its political, economic, social, and cultural development within the framework of an existing sovereign state. This is the general expectation under international law. External self-determination, the exception. This is the right to separate and form a new independent state, secession. Under established international law, this right is primarily recognized in only two specific contexts. 1. Colonial contexts, decolonization. Peoples under colonial rule have an undisputed right to full independence. 2. Remedial secession, a highly debated theory that suggests secession might be a legal right as a last resort for a people that is systematically denied meaningful internal self-determination, faces extreme human rights violations, or is severely oppressed by the central state.
You see how important the self-referendum is. Why Obatobi conducted it when he's here. It's also to trigger his release. if it happened to him. The government of United States of Biafra must stand up with their two legs. It's no longer a time to play hide and seek game. It's a time what they are doing for them to intensify more. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu will not be released by Nigerian government. Go and mark it. What will release him is the faster we put our voice together to push for our international recognition. That is only when he will be released. When I see people jumping up and down social media, man, I will just look at you. I will remove my face because I know Nigeria more than you. Nigeria value the life of those that are not against them. That is what they value life of all those Boko Haram. You see them. But because of Mazen can want to break Nigeria, that is why they're against it. But under this international law, you see it's our right. They're going to self-defense because the country are not conducive for us. We can't live there. They map us out like a chicken to roast. A highly debated issue that suscitated secessions. Look at it. When we never declare we are secession, no document, we are secessions group. But once we declare, they said it becomes a legal right. It becomes what? A legal right of the people. People that is systematically denying meaningful of life. So our self-defense, our self-determination is going to trigger people to receive what they have never been received. What are they going to receive? Their world are going to receive our self-referendum documents, number one. Number two, our real declaration of United States of Biafra, number two. Number three, the grievances of the Biafran people. These are documents that they told you that they are more than like they are very danger to weapons to anyone who does not have it. Nigeria never have it. Do you understand? So we're not going to panic. We're not going to move our knees. We must be here to do the needful, to make sure that everything in between follows. The legal status of a self-referendum.
2. The legal status of a self-referendum. In international law, a unilateral referendum does not automatically confer legality or independence. Feature. Description. International legal consequence. Legality. A self-referendum is typically illegal under the domestic, constitutional law of the existing state, which often prioritizes territorial integrity. The central government is generally within its rights to oppose or nullify the vote under its own domestic law. Recognition. The results are not automatically binding on the international community or the parent state. A new state's status depends on international recognition by other states and the ability of the new entity to meet the criteria of statehood, a defined territory, permanent population, effective government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. Unilateralism. The fact that the vote is held without a negotiated agreement with the central government is the source of the term self-referendum and its primary legal weakness. Referendums that are negotiated and agreed upon, like those in South Sudan or Montenegro, are seen as having a clear and binding legal basis. 3. The International Court of Justice, ICJ position. The International Court of Justice, ICJ, provided an important advisory opinion in 2010 on Kosovo's declaration of independence, which touched on this issue. The key finding: the ICJ concluded that unilateral declarations of independence are not prohibited under general international law. What it didn't say. Crucially, the ICJ did not say that a unilateral declaration, or a self-referendum that precedes it, creates a right to secede or automatically leads to statehood. In summary, a self-referendum is a powerful political and democratic expression of a people's will to separate. However, under international law, it is generally treated as a political fact, rather than a legal act that is sufficient on its own to change borders or create a new state against the will of the existing sovereign state. Its effectiveness ultimately rests on whether it can gain widespread international recognition.
Do you hear how they bring it down to you? Do you hear how this our self-referendum, only that can use it to persuade Finland to release Matt Simon? The question is there anything that the government is supposed to do they are not doing? The international law. That is why all these laws are important for us to know them. Official AJ, good morning from here. Choose, good morning from here. I see you. Thanks so much for coming. Please, as you come, please, may you like and share the program. It's not only for us. It has happened to others. It has happened to other people. International law ultimately authorized self-referendum does not automatically call legality or independence. Yes, it is true. But it's a key, it's one of the most important, and they call it the most dangerous weapon that what we have in our hand. What is that? Our self-referendum. So when you see that on our voice we are telling you something, there is a reason why. The internal conflict of justice ICJ position. The International Court of Justice ICJ provide an important advice option in 2010 on Kosovo declaration. Do you hear it? Kosovo, now they have never get international recognition, but it was declared on a country was declared on 2010. Before this 2010, are we not be fighting for Biafra? Even if we are not, but there is those who was wicked and have started from there, depending on what they believe and how they want it. So everything we need to know is inside this document about the government and what it's supposed to do for us to seek recognition, and the only on that we end this painful journey of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. Remember the code. Yes, Official AJ, thank you so much. Hashtag nice. We must know. We must do, we must know. The key finding, the ICJ concluded that authorized the declaration of independence are not prohibited under general international law. Do you hear it? That is not prohibited. Like now we have declared some gullibles from Nigeria are there making mockery of themselves, talking trash. Who do you invite? This blah, blah, blah. It's not. What is matters is what is important is that we have met the declaration. We met that criteria that we trigger an international community to start talking to us. Then what we are doing is also what we trigger them, because we want Biafra by all means. It's only hope of every black man. That's what it is. The key finding, the ICJ concluded that ultimately declaration of independence are not prohibited under under general international law. Everything we are doing, law back it up. That is why we must intensify. That is why we must put some speed into what we are doing, so we can be able to get where we are going in time. Because the more time we are wasting, the going out of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the going out of my Simon, do you know what it means to be one place? It's not easy. Sometimes it can make you to be derailed. Go and simplify. You must continue. What it did says, cancel. The ICJ did not say that authorized the declaration or self-referendum that produce it creates right to send or automatically lead to stakehold. Yes, so we know that. We all know. ICJ must do their job this time around. That is why Donald Trump, 2 days ago or yesterday, look at the UN body and tell us all of you are doing evil. In the he told you that there is you don't have anything, because of once Nigeria comes in there, he will spoil everything, he will spoil everybody, nobody's moving forward. So what are you waiting for? Support the government, because it's only your government has what it takes has this document that we're asking about. So, declaration or self-referendum that produce its great right to succeed or automatically lead to a statehood. After, because of our president, Mas Nnamdi Kanu, was arrested, the prime minister was arrested. That is why the chief of staff has to declare it. In summary, a self-referendum is a powerful political weapon and democratic expression of a people will be separated. However, under international law, it is a general threat political fact rather than a legal act that is insufficient on its own to change borders or create a new state against the will of the existing government. Can we do that? Because whatever we are passing through, look at it here. In summary, a self-referendum is a powerful political tool and a democratic expression of a people willing to separate. When we have collected our self-referendum with over 50 million, look at it here under this law. It simply means that we want to separate from Nigeria. We've done that. After that, we make a declaration of United States of Biafra. Are you following? To be a country. I hope we are making common sense, my people. Sorry. So, it is our right in what we are doing. Now we have all these documents. That's why I told you that the government must intensify what they are doing. We must intensify our effort of supporting the government with our fundraising. We must support the government for them because to submit all these documents, to go here and there, to do this, all about money. Nothing is free in this world anymore. It's all about money. It's about what? Money here and there. So support your government. Help the government, because everything that we are seeing is under this law. That's why I told you that we must pass those through that way that the Bangladesh passed when it's come to international law after declaration. Everything has changed. It's no longer the same way it used to be. We must pass that way that Kenya passed. We must pass that way that way that India will pass. That is the way we are passing now. International law at work, guiding all these countries and all these laws and bindings that we have to follow. Our own are not going to be different from the way other people get their own. That is why we must rethink on things we do in social media. That is why we must rethink on things we say. That is why we must see our government and support the government for them to get this international recognition. What you are pushing on social media is also helping. So continue doing what you are doing if you know you are doing a good one. But you who are doing the bad one, desist from that. It is effectiveness ultimately rests or whether it can gain widespread international recognition. As we are doing everything, we also be waiting if we can get the international recognition that we are seeking for by using multiple dimensions, submitting all these official documents to Finland, the government authorities, for them to know what our president, our prime minister, what they are passing through on international law, giving them that name. If you know what it is changing their status to so the world will see that these people are a leaders of a people, not a rebel, not insurgency, not a terrorist group, not a all this nonsense they are charging us. Our declaration of Unity of Biafra and our self-referendum vote ends all this matter. That is why you must know that the government is on the right track. Forget the shenanigan. You You must bow. We say you must bow to the government of Minister of Biafra. You don't understand what she said, because she understands that she's going to use all this law to get everything right for us. That is why she told you that you must bow at last. When saying these are the figures, these are the truths that are there that we all must listen to. I want to do it normally do it. I want you to play, so in case anybody who want to download or who want to do anything can have his time to do to record it. So as I am playing right now, listen to this.
The term self-referendum is not a formally defined legal term in international law, but it is commonly used to describe a unilateral popular vote on independence or secession held by a sub-state entity, a region, province, or people, without the consent or authorization of the central government of the existing state. To understand its meaning in the context of international law, you must look at the principle it invokes, the right to self-determination. Here is a breakdown of the meaning and legal status. 1. The principle invoked, self-determination. A self-referendum is an attempt by a people to exercise their right to self-determination, which is a fundamental principle of international law enshrined in the UN Charter and major human rights covenants. Internal self-determination, the default. This is the right of a people to pursue its political, economic, social, and cultural development within the framework of an existing sovereign state. This is the general expectation under international law. External self-determination, the exception. This is the right to separate and form a new independent state, secession. Under established international law, this right is primarily recognized in only two specific contexts. 1. Colonial contexts, decolonization. Peoples under colonial rule have an undisputed right to full independence. 2. Remedial secession, a highly debated theory that suggests secession might be a legal right as a last resort for a people that is systematically denied meaningful internal self-determination, faces extreme human rights violations, or is severely oppressed by the central state. 2. The legal status of a self-referendum. In international law, a unilateral referendum does not automatically confer legality or independence. Feature. Description. International legal consequence. Legality. A self-referendum is typically illegal under the domestic, constitutional law of the existing state, which often prioritizes territorial integrity. The central government is generally within its rights to oppose or nullify the vote under its own domestic law. Recognition. The results are not automatically binding on the international community or the parent state. A new state's status depends on international recognition by other states and the ability of the new entity to meet the criteria of statehood, a defined territory, permanent population, effective government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. Unilateralism. The fact that the vote is held without a negotiated agreement with the central government is the source of the term self-referendum and its primary legal weakness. Referendums that are negotiated and agreed upon, like those in South Sudan or Montenegro, are seen as having a clear and binding legal basis. 3. The International Court of Justice, ICJ position. The International Court of Justice, ICJ, provided an important advisory opinion in 2010 on Kosovo's declaration of independence, which touched on this issue. The key finding: the ICJ concluded that unilateral declarations of independence are not prohibited under general international law. What it didn't say. Crucially, the ICJ did not say that a unilateral declaration, or a self-referendum that precedes it, creates a right to secede or automatically leads to statehood. In summary, a self-referendum is a powerful political and democratic expression of a people's will to separate. However, under international law, it is generally treated as a political fact, rather than a legal act that is sufficient on its own to change borders or create a new state against the will of the existing sovereign state. Its effectiveness ultimately rests on whether it can gain widespread international recognition.
I hope you had it. The official separating of our movements, telling people, making everyone to understand is another thing that is going to push for us to get official international recognition that made Ojukwu fell in 1967 to 1970. We are not going to allow it to happen again. When it happen again, we have all doomed. We have all finished in this life. We are no longer to be here to talk. These are international laws and what it asks us to do, and how we can be able to get our country, get our leaders released, seeking international recognition. Please, the world, we are asking for international recognition so we can be able to release our two leaders, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was a Biafran president who was kidnapped in Kenya. The prime minister was arrested by Finland, and to today, see questioning him and do their kangaroo judge and say they sentenced him for 6 years. We, the Biafran people, are not going to accept it. We must go to the appeal court to prove to the world that this is a document, this is what it takes, this is what it asks us to do. Tell us the one that we did not make again. Then they will know how serious we are and how important what we are doing is with us. It's not a child's play anymore. It is what we must do. So let us understand it and hold it so dear in our hearts that nobody will come to change what we all know very well. So everybody who is here must understand the importance of what we are doing. All these things you are seeing, okay, is video just formality to maintain Nigerian government who give him money. You want to please them. Let us know that the shenanigans they are doing go nowhere. What they are doing, I said, is what? Go nowhere. And when you see that your government is doing the needful, what we need to do is like what we are doing now, to push them more, to tell them to research, for them to know what is all about a new country and all the process, all the criteria we must follow and we must meet. There is many criteria we have to meet. Those criteria is what they hide, and sometimes we will be misleading ourselves in the right way that we're supposed to go. We have to go. We go the other way around instead of going this way that are going to favor all of us. That through this way that we get what we want, and the proof of the world that we know what it is. Nigeria is the one occupying our land. We're asking them to leave because we have met those criteria. We have declared it officially. We have our self-referendum vote. We have a lot of documents in our hand to present to the world. How many documents we have? We have self-referendum, number one. We have our official declaration made in Finland on November 29, 2024. We have our grievances. All these things are documents. So, after we have met all this, what else do they want us to do before they will come to our aid? Before they will know the government must be pushing seriously. When I said protest, people did not understand it. It is part of it. That's what it peaceful disobedience or people will protest. It's what international law asks us to do also. So the attention will be drawn to us. So we should not mind the enemies. Listen to this. When chief of staff is the one holding the documents, the declaration documents and the self-referendum documents, and also be the one that made the declaration of independence for a new country, can that get us international recognition? Can these two documents that we have get us international recognition? Now you may know how or no or yes, so you may understand.
Yes, it absolutely can get international recognition, but the Chief of Staff's involvement alone does not guarantee it.
The Chief of Staff alone does not guarantee it. We all must join hands because there is something that international recognition requires from us. Only COS cannot do. That is why a group of people may decide to do protest in the name of the government. Let it be. Do you understand? There is something that we all coming on social media is also part of it. Coming on social media is also part of what we are doing. That we all must understand. Remember, whenever you want to call, the number to call still remain +9 733 6051 337. That is our number in case if you want to call to say what is beyond. So because now sometimes the word will come. If you didn't say it all the time, it will disappear from you. So please, anyhow it is, we must continue what we are doing. Let us listen to this about the chief of staff. Pay attention. Do not be in a hurry.
National recognition is primarily a political decision made by other states, and the key factor is not who made the declaration, but what legitimacy and control the new entity demonstrates.
You hear this? International recognition is primarily a political decision made by other states. That is why we must be a state before a state will organize us. We are not going to fall back. I hope you understand how the document can release Mazin and the Kama Simon and stop their incarceration, this mess they're into. And the government I use them to play. What is that thing that's going to help them? They mentioned it here. They told you it's your official declaration document of the document of our self-referendum vote. All these things are live evidence to prove otherwise, that we are on the right track, that the enemies must leave our land. You must continue. And the key factor is not who made the declaration, by the legitimacy and control the new entity. That is part of it. Who made the declaration is not what we're saying. But because Abato Obia is not here, Mazan Kali is not here, she happened to be the one. The issue is to maintain the legitimacy and control the new entity. So there is things that enemies that we have to control in our land. And we must start from now giving order to those things to carry on. Peter AJ said, Biafra have completed the independent journey. The enemy of Biafra inside their sleep of Biafra. We Biafra must take a push to international level. That is what I am hitting here. All we need to do now is to push to where? To under international law, the international level, on the international community, so that they are able to recognize us. Remember, the only thing that makes Ojukwu to lose war, there is no one single international law. Our government must push very hard. And those as they are pushing, they must present in a document of declaration and self-referendum vote to ask them to put voice, to ask Finland to release Mazin they can. So to release Simon, the Nigeria and Britain to release Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, our president. Depending on when he comes and said he's not. Okay. So my people, everything is in control. Your governments are trying to do one thing. Which is that one thing? To use multiple dimensions to get everything right. And they are getting it right. They're getting it right. So let us be encouraged by the government. Let us stand strong with our government. Let us do everything to help the government to push forward, not to push back. It is very, very important. I said what? It is very, very important as we do so. We must continue. But when legitimacy and control the new entity demonstrated, here is an analysis of how the chief of staff infects the bind for recognition. The chief of staff, a very powerful position. We must continue.
Here is an analysis of how the Chief of Staff's role affects the bid for recognition. The Chief of Staff's impact on legitimacy. In a typical provisional government or freedom fighter movement, the Chief of Staff COS is usually an appointed official focused on military and executive operations, not an elected political leader like a president or prime minister. 1. The positive, power and control. Demonstration of control. The fact that a powerful figure like the COS is holding the documents and making the declaration signals that the declaration is backed by the movement's effective military and executive capacity. International observers must see a new state has an effective government that controls the territory. The COS being the face of the declaration fulfills this criterion more convincingly than a largely symbolic political figure. Decisiveness. The COS's action shows internal resolve and a lack of debilitating political infighting, which is attractive to states looking for a stable new partner. 2. The negative, political deficit. Lack of democratic mandate. The biggest weakness is that a declaration made by a COS rather than a duly elected legislative body, like a parliament or provisional assembly, lacks immediate democratic legitimacy. Foreign states prefer to recognize declarations made by a representative body chosen by the people. Appearance of a military coup. It risks looking like the military/executive wing of the movement is imposing the declaration without consensus, which can deter democratic nations from granting recognition. The factors that truly determine recognition. For international recognition to be successful, the new country must meet 4 critical criteria, largely independent of who signed the paper. 1. The self-referendum is paramount. The self-referendum is the most important element held by the COS. It addresses the legitimacy deficit. If the referendum was conducted fairly, credible international observation helps, with a high voter turnout and an overwhelming yes vote, it proves the principle of self-determination and overrides concerns about the COS not being the political leader. 2. Meeting the Montevideo criteria. The new entity must meet the generally accepted legal criteria for statehood, Montevideo Convention. A permanent population. A defined territory. An effective government. This is where the COS's control helps. The capacity to enter into relations with other states. 3. International diplomacy. The political game. The success hinges on the new government's ability to persuade powerful countries to grant recognition. This involves justification, showing the world the new state arose from a remedial secession due to oppression or a democratic mandate. Security, assuring neighbors and international powers that the new state will be peaceful and stable. In summary, the COS holding the documents demonstrates effective control and executive authority. However, without the legitimacy provided by a demonstrably free and fair self-referendum, recognition will be difficult, particularly from established democracies.
Do you follow it? I know I allow you to play for the Doubting Thomas, for them to hear that it's all about declaration and document and self-referendum, that is part of the thing that the government will be pushing hard on it this time around, for us to get international recognition and for us to be recognized on the global stage, because it is very important as we do so. I don't want to take long on it because that one has a very simple English. I want to listen to this. Between fall back to stop declaration and the moving forward to make a declaration for independence for a new country, to help to release of the arrested leader who is one of which one is the best for the fallen back people. Now tag the fallen back people, let them come and hear why you as a Biafran can never fall back in your entire life. Why you don't think about that? Why you're not supposed to even open mouth and say such a thing in your life? You must continue.
The best strategy to help secure the release of an arrested leader is moving forward to make the Declaration of Independence.
Do you hear it? But they ask you, they told us that Master asked them to stop declaration. The best strategy to help secure the release of arrested leader is moving forward